Lynn Castle, Executive Director of the museum, and I want to welcome you all tonight to our two exhibitions opening tonight, Recycled, Reinvented, Folk Art from the Permanent Collection, and Jamie Kessler, German Pottery. I'm going to say just a few words about our permanent collection here. And this exhibition was underwritten by Entergy. Do we have any representatives from Entergy here tonight?
I pay my electric bill.
But we do want to thank Energy for sponsoring this exhibition, and they are also sponsoring the upcoming Family Day, which is on August 13th. Mark your calendar if you have little kids, because it is the perfect time to bring them, and it is August the 13th. That's a Saturday from 10 o'clock until 2 p.m., and we'll be making art with recycled materials. And that's what this exhibition is about as well. It's artists that have used recycled materials. These are all folk artists, and there are several different definitions for them. You can call them folk artists, vernacular artists, or self-taught artists. But quite often what happens is they get a vision in life to start creating, and they don't have the means or formal training to create art, so what they do is they grab whatever materials are at hand. It may be something like a tree root, or it may be something like a tin. It may be a toilet seat. That artist, by the way, this artist that did the toilet seat and the table and that there, he's from Beaumont. His name is Ixmea Shaw et La Real, and some of you may have seen his van driving around. There's a van that looks very similar to that. He stopped making art a while back because so many folk art collectors were coming to his house, and he's somewhat shy, didn't like the constant interruptions. And so his art is all about his church. He creates art specifically for his church. And I have a couple funny stories that I want to share with you, just because I've had some pretty good personal experiences with these folk artists over the years. And just to back up a little bit, our folk art, actually we started collecting folk art back in the mid-'80s when we acquired the collection of Felix Fox Harris, which is in the other gallery there, and you need to go in and look at that. He actually had a house here in Beaumont on Bigner Road, and a lot of you that are from Beaumont may remember the house of Felix Fox Harris. And when he died, the museum acquired his collection in exchange for burying him, because he didn't have a dime to a penny to his name, and so the family struck up a deal with the museum, and so we acquired all of these pieces, and for a while we had them out on Main Street. Well, the weather really took its toll on it, and so we had to bring them inside, and it took a long time. We got them restored. We kept a portion of the collection and blew up the photographs taken by Keith Carter, and it tells the history. We also have a book available in the gift shop that talks about the history of Felix Fox Harris. That's how we started collecting folk art. We started exhibiting, borrowing collections from around the country, and as we did, we started acquiring donations. Most of what you see here tonight in our folk art collection are pieces that are donated from area collectors. And there's some huge collectors in Lafayette, Louisiana, Warren and Sylvia Lowe. Sylvia is an attorney and Warren is a psychiatrist. And they collected folk art, regional folk art, for a number of years, and a lot of the pieces that you see here tonight are from that collection. They've also dispersed some of their collection to the museum in Lafayette, and they have a nice collection as well. One of the stories that Warren told me that's one of my favorite stories is about this bathing beauty here. When this artist, Bill Tabor, started carving this bathing beauty, he made her fairly anatomically correct, and so anatomically correct, she did not have a bathing suit on. And if you take off her bathing suit, you'll see that she's very anatomically correct. Well, what would happen was, once he started painting her, people would turn the corner and they would honk the horn and they would start driving off the road because they would see this nude out in front of the house. And so his wife got really fed up with it and said, Bill, I'm just sick and tired of this nude out in front getting all the attention. And so he said, all right, I can fix it. And so he made her a little bathing suit cover-up. So now she's bathing beauty. So that's what happened. So, another interesting story with that chair there. I picked that chair up, and it was just an old kind of ratty old brown chair at a flea market. I picked it up for like $30 or $40. And this was back when I used to visit Ixman. He was making art, and I would visit him on a fairly regular basis, just kind of like to go over and see what he was doing. And I gave him the chair, and I said, Ixman, you can have this chair. I picked it up at a flea market. I don't really need it in my house. if you can do something with it, you can have it. If you want to sell it to me, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. So he called me up, I kind of forgot about it. He called me up 2 years later and he said, and this was a long time ago, about 10 years ago. He called me up and he said, your chair's ready. And so that's what he made into this ugly old brown, like flat, hard chair. He put that upholster on it and put glitter all over it. But his style is fairly distinctive. You can really tell his work pretty well. And he made a lot of artwork. He was very productive right before 2000 because he was convinced that the world was coming to an end. So he made a lot of messages. And so you'll see a lot of things with clocks in them. There's one in this gallery, and then there's one in the Con gallery as well. And it's because he was getting the message out that the world was about to come to end, so you better repent and come to Jesus. And so that's what a lot of his work is about that. One of my other favorite pieces in the collection is back here, and it's this quilt, and it's by Sarah Mary Taylor. And you can see that Sarah Mary Taylor could not read or write. And she was also, when she tried to put together writing, she couldn't even sign her name. She was dyslexic. So you'll see that the Sarah Mary Taylor is backwards. But for someone that couldn't read or write, look what a great eye she had for color. I mean, and design. I just love that quilt. Just gives me chills. It's such a great piece. But when you look at work that's by self-taught folk artists, look at it with humor and levity because it's something to be enjoyed and it's something to be really approachable. That it has a naivety like children's art does, so that when you look at it, you can just don't think too heavy and deep into it because really, basically, most of it, when you look at it, is what you see is what you get. So just enjoy the exhibit. Does anybody have any questions?
I didn't know the collection was so varied.
We have about 250 pieces in the collection that are folk art by self-taught artists. And we're one of the few museums that collects it. And the reason that a lot of museums don't collect it is because the materials are so unorthodox. A lot of times it can be a conservation nightmare because pieces do deteriorate or they're not made well where they fall apart easily. And we've had our share of problems with pieces that have fallen apart, that don't stand up on their own. And so it is a legitimate concern. But we feel like it's such a strong part of our area and part of our region that it is something that we really do believe in collecting. All right, we're going to move into the other gallery, and I want to introduce Jamie. Or Sarah, do you want to introduce Jamie?
If you want to.
Or do you want me to?
You do it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jamie, come on. I also want to thank my staff for all the hard work that they have done for these installations. They were here for many, many late hours. Sarah, raise your hand. Everybody knows Sarah, our curator. And then Paula, our registrar. And then where's Tim? Is he
He's
here?
right here.
Oh, there's Tim. There's Tim.
And Monica's here, Lynn.
And Monica. And is our intern here tonight? Is
And
Allison here tonight?
No, Brian.
Brian helped. Sandy and Andy did the education gallery. And Kathy did the reception. And she's got a big wedding tomorrow. Anyway, our staff, if you don't know our staff here, they're great. Everybody works really hard and they all pull together and work well as a team, and I'm very appreciative of the staff. Anyway, Jamie. Jamie is my neighbor, but he's also a great artist, and he's also a wonderful collector. And I didn't know he was a collector till about a year ago? Or?
It was during the wintertime.
Yeah.
I went
up in his attic, and that's a sight to see. And Jamie taught at Fletcher Elementary for a number of years, and so he's been involved with our Art After School program. And of course, the artistic community here is fairly close-knit, and so we run into each other through all of that. But when I went up into his attic, how many people have been up in Jamie's attic? If you've been up in Jamie's attic, you would be pretty much blown away. So he's going to talk about this is just one of his collections. He has lots of collections, but this is just one of this is your biggest collection, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sharks.
Well, no, I think this is bigger, don't they?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, more.
They just take up more room.